Let's take a look at what is called the box model. In this video, we'll note the difference between block and inline elements and discuss the properties padding, margin, and border. The first thing to understand is that by default, all HTML elements fall into one of two categories, block or inline. Inline elements always appear to continue on the same line as their neighboring elements, much like words in a sentence. And just like words in a sentence, they wrap to a new line once they reach all the way across their allotted space. Some examples of inline elements are links, also referred to as A tags, and images, plus the strong and EM elements. Block elements, on the other hand, always start on a new line in the browser window. In other words, they stack one below another. Some examples are headings, H1 all the way to H6, paragraphs, list, both ordered and unordered, and individual list items. The box model is a term that describes the scaling and spacing of block elements when certain CSS values change. So again, we know block elements stack like boxes. Every box has three available properties that can be adjusted to control the scaling and spacing behavior: padding, border, and margin. So what do each of those mean? Let's start with padding. Pretend the content of a block element, such as the text inside an H1, is a vase that you want to ship someone. It's in a box, which is like the invisible box that surrounds every block element. You may want to add some padding or cushion around your vase. Padding goes inside the box, between the content and the box edge, and the box needs to grow to make room. You may want an equal amount of padding all the way around your vase, or you may want every side to have a different amount. Either way, the box itself grows and adjusts accordingly. Let's go to our CSS code. The box around the content is usually invisible, so here we have an H1 with a background color to help us see the padding adjustments. Right now, the H1 looks like this in our browser. Now let's add some padding. As we add padding, you can see the space increase around the words, and the inside of the box gets bigger. Again, you can adjust the padding equally all the way around, or just on one or two or three sides. Also notice that when the padding changes, the paragraph underneath the H1 moves up or down accordingly. That's padding. Now on to border. Let's go back and look at our vase again. Remember, the vase is in a box. Let's say it's a cardboard box. The cardboard acts like the border around the box. It's important to note that every box has a border, even if it's not visible, or if it's only specified to be 0 pixels wide. The border separates the edge of one box from another. You can change several things about this border, such as width, style, and color. In your CSS, you can write it like border width, border style, and border color. Or you can write it in shorthand like this. In border shorthand, the first value is width, the second value is style, and the third value is color. Again, notice that as the border width gets larger, the paragraph underneath the H1 moves down accordingly. Think of that as thicker cardboard requiring more space and pushing the next box away. Most of the time, the boxes are near other boxes, just as our vase might be if packed into a delivery truck, so we'll also need to consider the space between this box and its neighbors. That's the margin. Margins sit outside the edge of the border, and they are not part of the box itself. You can set the width of a margin to create a gap between the borders of two adjacent boxes. The CSS looks like this. As with padding and border, you can set the margin to have equal space on all four sides, or just on one, two, or three sides. Notice how the background that's set on the H1 doesn't change at all as the margin changes. This is because margin is outside the box. The paragraph underneath it, however, must still move down to make room for the added space. So to recap, there are two default types of elements, inline and block. The box model affects block-level elements and includes three properties: padding, border, and margin. All three of these properties can be adjusted to achieve your desired look.